Well, the gold supply is going to double every 30 years. And you can't teleport gold 60 times a second. And the AI is not going to want the gold, right? And you can't put gold on your iPhone, right? Gold's not digital. If you have $100 million and you put it into gold and you wait 100 years, you'll have $12 million worth of gold. That's why you don't want gold. If you have $100 million of Bitcoin and you hold it 100 years, you'll still have the $100 million worth of Bitcoin, right? So gold is the best of the commodities, but it's awful because it's got a 2% inflation rate. What's the difference between 2% inflation rate and 0% inflation rate? It's the difference between living 30 years and living forever. Like one is mortal, okay? Here's your choice. Take the orange pill, you live forever. Take the gold pill, you live, you're half dead in 30 years, you're half dead, you're gonna live 75, 80 and you're dead, right? This is a mortal life, this is immortal life. That's the difference between 0 and 2%. Gold is the greatest of the commodities. Every other commodity inflates at 10% a year, 20% a year, 50% a year. They're awful. Commodities are awful stores of value. But what are they good at? Here's what they're good at. Commodities are ethically sound. Okay, that means they're an asset without an issuer. You can promote gold or a chicken in every pot or a land or silver, or you can promote soybeans, or you can tell people to keep kerosene behind their house. Those are commodities. You cannot promote a security. A security is an asset with an issuer. If a senator says, God bless Apple, she's promoting a security. If a senator says, God bless Bitcoin, they're promoting a commodity. It's like promoting bluegrass music. It's like promoting fasting. It's simply a cultural or a technical idea. So what do you want as your long-term store of value? You want something economically sound. That means absolutely zero inflation rate forever, and nobody can screw with that. You want something ethically sound. That means an asset without an issuer, where the inventor, Prometheus, disappeared. You own fire, electricity, you can use it. The English language, you can use it. Math, you can use it. Bitcoin, you can use it. There's no company with copyright that charges you a royalty, right? It needs to be ethically sound, needs to be a commodity, right? And finally, it needs to be technically sound, good engineering. And so, a building is sort of economically sound, not as good as Bitcoin because you've got property taxes and entropy, and
earthquakes happen.
And a share of Magnificent Seven, it's kind of economically sound, but it's a security. And if the Chinese decide to seize Apple's assets, or if the US seizes a Chinese company's assets, you've got all sorts of political risk. But Bitcoin is both the economically sound asset and it's the ethically sound asset, but it's a big tech digital network. It means that I can move $100 billion a million times a second. Okay, so what the big idea is, I can give a capital asset to 8 billion people on their mobile phone, and 10 million computers can trade it 1 million times an hour across every jurisdiction, right? And so if you want to give music to 8 billion people, you need digital music. You can't do it with records and 8-track tapes. And if you want to give digital communications, right? You want to give education to 8 billion people, you need digital education. You need to give them lectures for free, for the cost of electrons. And if you want to give wealth to 8 billion people, you need digital capital. You need to put your wealth on your iPhone, and you need to know that it will last forever. And I just ask anybody, I ask you, what do you own in your life that you think your family will still have intact, that will be valuable 300 years from now? Right? Mm-hmm. What would that be, right? Because there's no conventional thing, there's no company that's going to last 300 years, right? They might not live in New Zealand 300 years from now. I could give you 10,000 acres in Auckland, and the issue is, so can you take it with you when the government changes and they decide to seize the assets of people with blue eyes? Right? Because it happens. If you look at the history of the 20th century, And you're like, what country didn't seize the assets of somebody over 100 years, right? It's like you had one country, the United States, that won every war, and yet that country's currency lost 99.9% of its value against scarce assets. That's the winner, right? The winner gives you 0.1% of your wealth. All, the rest is all just anxiety-inducing counterparty risk